So Highland Grimes Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Christopher from Silversun Pickups and CROONeR.
And we're some questions say about his new EP, Catarina. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
I think it's great. It's I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really do much leading up to it. So it was kind of just like, I threw it out there and figured, let's see what happens. And so far it's been, the response has been great. I've been really happy. And considering I haven't done very much, I'm very happy so far.
Hell yeah. This was a project, correct, like before Silversun Pickups that you kind of revived around the pandemic, correct?
Yeah, I had CROONeR like in the mid 90s, late 90s, and it kind of dissolved like early 2000s, like right like maybe a couple years before I actually joined Silversun. I knew them. Actually, I kind of, that's kind of, Brian was in another band and like Joe was in another band and I had my thing. We would always play together and just hang out, go to parties and see each other at other shows, whatnot. Same with Nikki. Nikki was Brian's roommate at the time, and she was in CROONeR for like a 6-month period or whatever. And she actually left CROONeR to start Silversun Pickups with Brian. And so then once CROONeR, that version of CROONeR dissolved, eventually it was just a matter of time till I went into Silversun Pickups. But yeah, so I had been still writing music, and it's funny, like I would do Silversun Pickups albums, and I'd be drumming and stuff like that. At the end, I was always kind of like, I had like this writing frenzy every time I would finish recording with Silversun, because I was like, oh my God, these creative juices are still flowing. But, obviously I needed a different outlet, for that. And so I kind of just sat on a bunch of these songs for a long time, and I was always busy, going on the road with Silversun and stuff like that. So it didn't, I always said to myself, once Silversun kind of chills out or like ends, then I'm gonna do this. But like 20 plus years later, we're still doing Silversun Pickups. It's still going. It's still, we're still making records. We still love each other. We're still happy. And so it's like, I was kind of like, okay, you know what? It's either I'm gonna do this. I should just do this now and see what happens. If I wait for that, if I wait for Silversun to end, who knows if that's actually gonna happen. So
yeah, it's already went on about 20 years longer than I guess you initially expected it to. So.
Yeah, well, I was, honestly, when I think about it, I was kind of like hoping, like, yeah, I hope I could be doing this I'll be really happy if I could be doing this for 10 years. Like I thought that was, I mean, at that time, 10 years seemed like a long time.
Yeah.
But then 20 plus years later, we're still going at it, and
still kicking.
And so so I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And I kind of had this whole like, the universe will decide as long as I put it out there. As long as I put it out there, the universe will do what it will with it, and I'll be happy with it no matter what, as long as I actually get it out there. That was like the main thing. if it just stays here, then yeah.
Well, the EP's fucking awesome.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
being completely honest, this EP had me tearing up on multiple occasions. It's insane. I looped it for a while. It is fucking incredible. I love it.
Well, you see, okay, that, like, you just gave me chills, both of you, and thank you so much for that. And that's exactly why I did that, or did this, because it's to hear stuff like that, like I that really means so much to me. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, so if it was just for your ears, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So is there any meaning behind the EP title or cover art?
Yeah, well, the title is named after my sister Catarina, and my little sister. She passed away in 2018. And it was kind of when it happened, she had a lot of health problems growing up all her life. And so it wasn't necessarily a surprise when she passed away. In fact, she lived a lot longer than doctors told her she would.
Yeah.
But so when she passed away, there was kind of a emotional like void or like blockage that I had, where I was just kind of like, I didn't really grieve it, or I was grieving it at random times. And that's like everyone, like they, especially when they have busy lives and stuff like that. Yeah. And so when I was doing this record, in the recording process, she was in my mind a lot, and so then I was kind of like, you know what, this is something I want to do. I want to do a tribute to her. I want this to be dedicated to her, and the songs are not necessarily about her, but just the feeling, and again, like you said, the emotions, all of that is very important to me. And so it just felt fitting to name this after her. And also I took it from Silversun Records, like Brian's, our first record, Carnivis. That was his namesake, his mom's maiden name. And so and I always kind of loved that. I loved that it was very close to him, and in turn became very close for us. Same thing with Pikel. Pikel was a friend of ours who passed away, and we named it after him. That was like his nickname. And so I wanted to kind of like follow suit with that, and and I definitely knew it would be it would hit a chord,
Absolutely.
Stronger. So that's what it was. And the album artwork was just random. I was doing the video for Kick and Snare. And I was kind of like, doing a DIY, like, just my good friend, Michael Feerick, directed it. He's in a band called Amusement Parks on Fire. But he's slowly kind of transitioning into directing, and he's a great guy, great director. And so he's in the UK though. So I kept that. He would tell me what to film, and I would film it and then send it to him. And I think that was a moment, like, my wife was helping me out, and she saw me kind of frustrated. Like, I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And so I was just kind of sitting there looking down. And then when I saw that photo, it felt right. Like, it felt good, especially with, like, then like adding like the stars and then in the background and stuff like that. It all kind of like, again, bringing that whole idea of like, let's have the universe decide what this is. Because I can overthink something, till the end of the day. So it's very freeing to say that, to say let's just have the universe decide what's best for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the EP?
Well, again, it was like very herky-jerky, because it was in a span of like 15 years, these songs. Some obviously newer than others, but so like I would write it, and sometimes like a lot of the words would just be kind of like ad-lib words, just to kind of like stick in there. But then and when I wrote them specifically, it was probably a very specific thought in my head about why I was writing about that. But then you revisit it like 5-10 years later, and you still, you still understand it to an extent, but then maybe some of the real specific details are gone, and so I had to do a lot of kind of reworking in my head, kind of like, okay, well, what is this? What does this mean to me now? It might have meant something to me in the past, but I have to kind of like focus it on the present. And so I would change certain things and kind of like add things to kind of to fit the narrative of my life today. Yeah. And so but other than that, it's pretty much very close to like the GarageBand demos that I did back in the day. In fact, a lot of the synth sounds and stuff like that are taken from those GarageBand demos. I worked with a producer, Frankie Siragosa, who was my drum tech for a while and keyboard tech with us on tour, and he's also an amazing producer engineer. He was also with the Posies for a while, playing drums, and did a few of their singles, mixed and recorded some of their stuff too. So I felt like I was in really good hands.
Yeah.
And we bonded over our love for Teenage Fan Club and like that kind of pop sensibility, like the Posies, like stuff like that. So when we talked about doing this, it was kind of like, okay, this makes sense, because he knows exactly where I'm coming from. And it worked out great. It was just the two of us in the studio, and we were just kind of riffing off each other. Again, like we used a lot of demo tracks. So it felt like it was really combining both, both facets of like, writing, recording, all of that.
Yeah, I got you.
And it was super cool that it was just the two of us. Like I would play drums, he would play drums, I'd play guitar, he'd play some good, like the harder stuff he would do, to be honest. He would like, and like all bass, he did all the bass, because I was just kind of like, I don't know how to play bass.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
I'm getting the idea of the timeline. The writing was over the course of like 15 years. Now I'm curious, like, when did you finally get a chance to record this? When did you have masters in hand? Just to kind of get the full timeline of how long you've been working towards this.
So we had the sessions for this EP like November, December of 23.
Okay.
November, December 23, we finished it. And then he pretty much was mixing it into like January of 2024. And so it kind of took a little while to get it off its feet, because like literally that February I was on tour with Silversun, and it kind of and our touring kind of ended up being a lot longer than any of us really expected. We pretty much started February and kind of didn't really finish until like September. So it was kind of a long run for us. And in fact, most of those shows we played with Hello Mary, which I saw that you guys interviewed them.
Great band.
I was super excited to see them and see that you interviewed them, and I was like listening to it, and then I saw Helena like last week, and I was just like, I just saw your podcast. And she was like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, no, it's so cool, it's super cool. But yeah, so basically 2024 was eaten up with touring.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like put the EP on back burner, and then finally, like once everything got settled down, it was again the same thing. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I've been sitting on this for a while now. I gotta if I don't put this out soon, it's gonna be old. It's gonna be old to me at least. So then I was just like, fuck it, let's just put it out, and let's see what happens. And again, so far it's considering that it's just me, like I even kind of specifically, like I roped in my management for a while, and it was kind of like, they were willing to help, but then I was kind of like, I don't even know if I want to do that big thing, or I kind of put too much pressure onto it. And so I was like, let me just do it myself. Let me, and that way I could have full creative freedom, and kind of, if I don't want to do too much, I don't have to do too much. I can just do it at my speed. Like I'm like social media, like going when I started this, and I was like asking for some advice from people, and how do I go about doing this? It was just all like, you got to be on social media. You got to be on TikTok. Yeah. You got to have so many followers. You got to do all this. And I was like, dude, I'm like,
fuck this.
I'm almost 50, man. Like,
I'm not gonna be dancing on TikTok. Come on.
I'm not gonna do those dances. I'm not gonna karaoke. I don't want to do any of that stuff. So I tried it for a while, and I think I got a little bit out of it. But then I just realized at a certain point, like, I'm not willing to play this game.
Yeah.
Like I wish I had these, you know, like these tools back in 95 or 96, because I would have eaten it up and I would have, you know,
Hell
really
yeah.
taken advantage of it. But like now I'm 49, I just got married. I'm like trying to settle down a little more, but you know, and so kind of like and like, you know, as we speak, we're literally recording a Silversun Pickups record. So it's like I'm always busy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to necessarily focus on being a having a persona on social media.
Yeah, being
I
an
just want,
influencer.
yeah, I don't want to do that, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not that, and I just want to make music, man.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
It's like that. It's sort of that.
You're
thing.
in a unique position, being that you're in an established band that's been doing it a long time and is doing well for themselves. That like it's basically a passion project for you. Like you can just
Absolutely.
you can put it out there, and whoever hears it, and you don't have to. It's not ride or die for you. You're just kind of like whoever hears it is cool, which is what you said at the beginning. Like if it's only meant for our ears, then mission accomplished. You know?
Yeah. Exactly. It's exactly what you said. It's a passion project, and obviously, you know, yeah, if I could turn it into anything else, awesome. But if not, I'm already, like I get my fill. I get my performing fill, you know, with Silversun.
Yeah.
Like I would love to play this music live, and I'd love to go on tour with CROONeR, but I'm not, like you said, I'm not dying to do it, you know. Like when it happens, if it happens, absolutely. If, you know, but until then, I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Sure. And because this is kind of considered as a passion project leading up to the release of the EP, were you feeling any anxiety or pressure, you know, putting it into the world, or are you just kind of desensitized to that?
I kind of got desensitized after, like, I realized that I felt overwhelmed. I was getting really overwhelmed by like, well, I got to put it. Oh, well, this is okay. I settled for this release date, so it's got to be this release date. I got to get this video done. I got to do all this. I got to, you know,
turned into a job.
It became very like stressful and kind of like I'm ruining again. Like, you know, I'm ruining my chance. I mean, it's like this, like this song, I'm blanking. Oh, like the film had nothing to say. Like that song about like I'm gonna miss my chance. I'm gonna miss my opportunity. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know, and it's just like, calm the fuck down. You know, chill out. Just put it out and see what happens. And so at that point, I was just kind of like, okay, like desensitized. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not gonna stress about it. Like, I'm just gonna put it out and see what happens. And yeah, I mean, you know, I'm talking to you guys, so I did something right.
Hell yeah.
Damn right you did. Yeah. So what song off the EP took the longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
I don't know what would take the longest, what took the longest. I think my favorite is I like the film had nothing to say a lot. I like that. I like where it goes. I like what I'm talking about. It's, you know, and for some reason it's always had like this nostalgic feeling for me, that song. Like I always kind of pictured it as being kind of like like an 80s John Hughes film, you know, like that, just kind of like the vibe of it. And so I really like that. I really gravitate towards that song, but I also do love Tia's in Tsunami, just because of the outlet of it, you know. It's just kind of like the explosion of emotion at the end is kind of like whatever I'm saying, it's like it's all about that, you know. It's all just about that. I don't know anything, and it's okay. It's all right. It's all right that you don't know anything. And even though it kind of feels like a very like sad ending, but it's actually very like cathartic in the sense that like, okay, now that I understand that, how do you pick yourself up, and how do you change the things that you do regret, or that you know feel like you were unappreciated in one aspect or another, or in your life, or you know, uh, I definitely had, ideas in my head where I wanted to be at this age, and even though I feel like I've accomplished a lot, and I know I have, but at the same time, you're kind of like when like I was saying, like 25 years later, you're just like, wait, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah.
What is this? Is this how it's supposed to go? Um, and so it's kind of like, it's okay. It's okay that you don't know. And you can cry about, you could release that energy, It's like like going on a roller coaster, and like, it's like you hold it in, it's worse. It's better to let it out. And then then you feel better and you can move on.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That release.
Gonna reframe the first half of that question, because I know it was kind of written in drips and drabs, but was there a song in particular in the studio that might have taken longer to crack? Anything you kind of particularly struggled with?
I honestly, I'm not really sure if there's anything difficult. Again, like I said, Frankie was so good at just kind of understanding where I was coming from, and also him taking a lot of the tracks from the demos felt very it felt right, like the sounds, and like we obviously we manipulated a lot of it, or we changed a lot of the sounds, but for the most part, those the playing and everything was like, in my bedroom, those years ago. And so I think that kind of, it felt good that we were using that stuff. I think honestly that's almost probably his question, because it's probably more during the mixing process where I think was the hard part. Like, he took a good while mixing the album. I think longer than recording. I think all told we did it in like a week and a half. All of the 5 songs, and it like I said, there was never one day that was really difficult. So I can't really remember if there was one specific song that was really hard. I think it was just, and plus I think I've known them so long. I knew these songs for so long. If there were newer songs, I could understand that maybe I was unsure about one thing or another. But if he had any questions, I think I was very specific with the answers, and so it didn't really seem like I was floundering in the recording process.
That makes sense.
Gotcha.
So for this question, I want you to pick your favorite lyric or instrumental part off of the EP and tell us the meaning behind it.
In a world without you, whatever will I do? I think that's kind of like maybe like the basis of kind of like love songs for me, or crooner love songs. It's I had that line for a long time, for like like 15 years ago or something like that, and I was kind of messed around with it. Didn't really know I didn't necessarily write it about something or someone specifically. It was just kind of an emotion that I always kind of would relate to, and as throughout the years went, I feel like that phrase to me has meant so much, as opposed to like, or not opposed, but in the sense of like, I thought of that line when my sister passed away, but then I also thought of that line when I met my future wife, or when we got married. It's like, so it's kind of I've always gravitated towards that line. It means a lot to me in a lot of different levels.
Gotcha.
100%. Fuck yeah. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating the EP? More so in the studio, because as we've already mentioned, this was over the course of 15 years. Kind of hard to pinpoint that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, my headspace was very much kind of like almost determination of like, I got to get this out now. Because I felt like I had so much to say, and I wasn't saying it, and no one knew that I had things to say.
Mm.
And so it was a time in my life where I was very much kind of like, I need an output for myself. I've been in this band for a long time, and and as much as I love everyone in it, we still do. We're more than family than anything else. But it's for the past 20 years, it was almost kind of like, do it for the team,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like do it for the team. Like you get always kind of like, uh, always kind of taking a back seat for the benefit of the whole.
Mhm.
And so at that point, I was kind of in a place where honestly, I was like questioning how long I wanted to do it,
Mhm.
like Silversun. And so it kind of that's where I was kind of at that space where like, what do I have to say?
Yeah.
If I was on my own, and this is my one chance. I'm putting, I'm putting money where my mouth is. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, after doing it and showing it to the band, their response was so like supportive and loving and caring, and that it gave me this, it kind of like all that talk or thought about like, do I want to do this anymore, do I want to, like, kind of went away.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, okay, I can do both now, or like they heard me.
Yeah.
Or people hear me, and now they know that I have other things to offer, I have other things to say, and um and I think it also, like, my confidence, my confidence got so much better after making this record. I was speaking up more. I was able to kind of like, throw out my opinions,
Sure. Yeah.
more, as opposed to just kind of like, whatever you guys want to do, or it's
Yeah.
like,
That's cool.
because there's a lot of that when you're dealing with four people, and you can, and plus a lot of, like, we tend to be more kind of like quiet and more like, like, oh, sorry, don't want to step on toes, stuff like that. So so I found kind of my voice, like, out, my voice more, not just in music, but just kind of out there, like, what I have to say has value.
Yeah.
That's great.
Basically.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that you were able to find that. That's awesome. That's huge.
Yeah. And so it's like, like now, like, honestly, if I didn't do that, if I didn't do this EP, CROONeR, I might have still been disgruntled, and kind of like felt like it was, I needed to do something else to change. But now I'm kind of like, okay, I now that, and it's, I love it too, because like we go out on tour, and every once in a while there's someone in the audience now that'll scream out CROONeR, or and I was like, it's like, oh, that means so much to me. I have another thing too, that like we did this benefit early January, and which I was fortunate enough to like live a dream of mine, and that was to play with the Bangles, and and it was like a super group. It was the Bangles, it was Belly, Letters to Cleo, and the Bangles and Belly were like one of my biggest bands as a kid, like in high school and stuff like that. And so for it was amazing to play with them. But then it's funny because we're like in a little text chain with Tanya Donnelly, and it was funny because like I came in kind of halfway through the text chain, because she was like, "Oh, sorry, I accidentally added my brother Christopher on this." So
that's so funny. That's so funny.
So I now I re-added the correct Christopher, and I looked on it, and it said, because you could see how they name you.
Yeah.
He put Christopher CROONeR on there, and I was just like, "Oh my god,
that's so sweet!"
I was like, "Okay, like there you go." If I never did this album, if I never, I would have just been Christopher Guanlao, which would have been fine. But then the fact that I saw that I was Christopher CROONeR in her contacts, in her contacts, that blew me away, and I was kind of like, okay, that gave me so much confidence to move forward with everything, and just like cool little things. Yeah, little things like that. So.
That's awesome.
That's very sweet.
Hell yeah. So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this EP for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is Workout EP, Party EP? What do you personally recommend?
I mean, well, preferably preferably headphones, loud car, like in the car, loud while driving.
Loud.
So it's a good way to do it. Yeah, I mean, any way you want to do it, is fine. Any way, the way that you can appreciate it, and how it works for you. If it was Muzak, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. And this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this EP for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Cathartic, love, and forward. Move forward.
Yeah.
There's there's gonna be a second EP.
Okay.
Let's go. Okay.
Second EP, and it's gonna be called Angelica. Also my sister's middle name, and my goal is to release it as a full length, like special edition vinyl type situation.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
So yeah, so I think that's kind of the plan. But I want to do this. I want to do a limited run of vinyl for this, for the Catarina EP that eventually will be, I don't know where, Bandcamp or whatever.
Yeah.
But and I already have a bonus track to go along with it. So that's in the works right now.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you loud and clear. Okay, all right.
In that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the EP?
Again, it's like what you guys said, like just like having the feels. I think that's what I wanted to do. I think I wanted to make something really emotional and not to be too cheesy, but something from my soul, drumming, I do that, and it is from my soul, and I love like I give it all when I'm performing, and but this one is more kind of, I don't know, visceral. This is more like kind of, or tangible, and that's what I want. I want people to just feel it, and if you can shed a tear, that's amazing. If you and it doesn't even have to be about what I'm saying or about my specific emotions. It's whatever you take out of it. That's what I want to do.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And are you able to talk about any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of the EP, positive or negative?
Well, I could do both. Least favorite. Least favorite, I was very disappointed with how my guitar playing was.
Okay.
I used to be such a better guitar player. And I was in a band and I was playing guitar. So like I kind of and I wrote these songs on guitar. And so I kind of, went in the studio. I was like, I could do this. And then all of a sudden I was just like,
I kind of suck now. Wait a minute.
Yeah, like hold on. I used to be good at this. So that was kind of eye opener, and I did get better because I ended up having to play a show that forced me to to play guitar. So like I was on tour and like I was just like practicing like as many times as I can. I mean, I had a lot of time off, but on tour sometimes. But so I got better at that, and making it. A favorite part of it is, the creativeness I had with Frankie, how we both had such a fun time making it, we really had a good time, and so that's kind of why it was like a no-brainer to continue it and to record more. you know, and so in fact we were just talking about a couple weeks ago about, you know, doing the next EP of this, and we were both like just excited about it. So that's my favorite thing, our camaraderie in the studio.
Hell yeah.
Chemistry.
Love
How you guys
that.
gel.
Chemistry, yeah, chemistry, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Earlier on, you mentioned that Silversun Pickups is working on a new record, and I hate to be the guy, the stereotypical interviewer, but you hung it out in front of me, and I got to go for it. What can you tell us about upcoming Silversun Pickups? What's in the chamber?
What's in the chamber? It's gonna be we want it to be kind of a more condensed rocking album. We're trying to make it just one vinyl, fit in one vinyl. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen.
Getting a little carried away. Huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, but because we've done like 10 songs, you know, usually we're doing like 14 songs or whatever, but this time we're just doing 10 songs. But even those 10 songs, I'm not sure if it's going to fit in one vinyl. So I'm not sure if we're going to actually take something out, but I think we want it to be louder. We want it to be loud and kind of more in your face. But then that being said, you know, it's probably going to just sound like a Silversun Pickups record.
Yeah.
But Butch Vig is producing it again. So and he's kind of like now our fifth member. Like he's we've gotten to a point with our relationship with him where it's again more like family, and it's we can't really picture ourselves working with anybody else at, you know, for the foreseeable future. So we love that. We love that kind of consistency. At first, in the earlier parts of our career, we wanted to work with different producers a lot to get, you know, we had a kind of like 2-album thing where let's do 2 albums with somebody and then move on. And we enjoyed that. And then we met Butch and it was kind of like, you live down the street from us. You're great. You have amazing stories. And, you know, we get along. So I think we're just going to stick with that for a while. I'm excited for it, actually. I'm really excited for that as well.
Hell yeah.
So,
wonderful. That's very exciting to hear. And for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
This is hard to get sometimes, but reduced fat Cheez-Its.
Okay. Yeah.
Reduced fat Cheez-Its, because the regular Cheez-Its tend to be a little oily, but then you get the flavor, but then it's you know, I'm sure it's not any better for you, but it's
I don't know, but it makes you feel better.
But then I'll get the, you know, but then if they usually have like the I think the cheddar cheese ones or something like that, or the white cheddar, and white cheddar, and that's go to. And then like, what else? I also have a sweet tooth, so it would probably be like peanut M&Ms.
The best M&Ms, yeah.
Peanut M&Ms, you know. And I was just like, how many times I'll be in my bunk and just like with a big bag of
just chowing down.
Yeah, chowing down.
Love it. And on the topic of food, if your project was a dish, what dish would it be and why?
It would be pizza.
Okay.
Because I love pizza so much.
Shout out pizza.
Shout
out pizza.
And we just had my wife and I went on a little Valentine's Day weekend. We went to this place, Santa Paula. It's only like an hour from LA. And I just have to shout this out because we went to this pizza place called Pizza Man Dan's.
Hell yeah. I trust it already.
Pizza Man Dan's. And they had a great bar. They had great apps. but then later that evening, we ordered pizza, a mushroom pizza, pan pizza from them, and it was like the most delicious thing we had in a very long time.
Yeah.
So so I just immediately thought of that.
Mhm.
It would have been pizza anyway, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. This album is all about pizza.
Hell yeah.
Pizza.
All right.
Shout out pizza, yeah.
Delicious and loving and all that goodness.
Wonderful. And for the last couple questions, we're actually going to shift away from music if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Cool. So we're actually going to go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
I've actually thought about this.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All right.
And a fountain Coke would be, because I kind of stopped drinking like Cokes. Like so I used to, used to drink it like every meal, and that's really bad for you. So I'll have a Coke like a couple times a year or something, but it has to be from a fountain.
Yeah.
Coke,
Fresh.
fresh.
Mm-hmm.
The carbonation might be a little bit, a little bit on the high side, which is fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
And hot dog on a stick, hot dog on a stick, turkey dog, and a cheese on a stick, American cheese.
Hell yeah. Okay.
That would be I think my favorite. I always kind of said that if heaven did exist, I would be walking around with cheese on a stick all the time. Just munching on it, and it would be that'd be the goal, and it would be endless,
Yeah, exactly. It just
constantly
keeps
munching on it. Keeps on replenishing.
Always fresh too, gooey.
Yeah, melted cheese inside that, and then the cornbread. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
Somewhere in the Star Wars galaxy, probably.
Yeah.
And that would mean I'd probably like live on my ship and just travel around.
Yeah.
Like a Millennium Falcon type. It doesn't that like or like a what is it, Mandalorians? It's like the Razors, something. Well, anyway, his ship.
Yeah.
It blew up. So but but I would like that, and just like travel around planets. Get different, like do that.
That would be really dope.
Yeah, that's my fictional world I would love to live in.
Hell yeah.
Good pick. All right. And I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Do you have a specific shade of blue?
Now that my wife has she's, when I met her, she had full blue hair, like turquoise, more like turquoise blue, and now it's kind of a little more like an ombre type thing. She taught me that word, by the way. I had no idea what that meant.
Great.
But so she has like this ombre where it's like blue in the bottom and it kind of goes into black. So but I've always loved blue, and I think maybe it varies, because I love navy blue. I love like the darker blues, but then I like the brighter blues.
Yeah. Then just blue.
Yeah, so just blue. Like I just kind of gravitate towards that color.
Yeah.
Hell
a lot.
All right. So as Glory said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Just CROONeR Catarina EP. I'm on Bandcamp, and Instagram. So please say hi, check that out, and just that's all I want to plug. I want to actually show you something though, because I found it, because it reminded me of Hello Mary. I wanted to to show them. Like I said, we toured a lot last year, and in the middle of touring, I was in a scooter accident, and I fractured my two, and I was able to drum. I fractured these two fingers.
God damn.
And I didn't think I was going to be able to finish the tour, but I was able to, like playing like kind of like that. But I lost my two fingernails, and they said when I went to the emergency, they said I probably lost those fingernails. They're not gonna grow again.
Oh my God.
And which is kind of, not that big of a deal, but like, it's also kind of a big deal,
Yeah.
because it's just like, but so the next day, they made me a card and I wanted to show it to you guys.
That's so nice.
So cute.
I love that.
And it's so sweet. And they put like nail in heaven.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I was just like, oh, I gotta show it to you guys since you know them and everything, and what sweet girls they are.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say my nails grew back.
Let's go.
They said you couldn't do it. They said you couldn't do
couldn't do it, and I did it.
Damn straight. You got that shit done.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Style. It's been Christopher from CROONeR, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.